Good morning. This is Dave from David's To-Do List. What I'm doing is I'm putting a T5 transmission in behind a small block Windsor. Originally it was going to be a 351, but just struggling so much with clearance for the headers that I decided to go with a 289. I'm putting the T5 in, and I'm going to go with the standard linkage for the clutch pedal. A lot of people go with hydraulic or cable. I wanted to go with the standard linkage. I'm not sure why now, because it's been a lot of work. But in order to use the standard linkage, you have to switch the direction of the throwout arm. So you buy a kit, which is this kit here. Started out with an automatic, so this is what I had. Just a standard brake pedal assembly. So I ordered a clutch and brake pedal assembly. Came with the assembly and the Z-bar, the brackets and stuff. Almost all the parts I needed. But there was more to it. When I got it, it was damaged. I switched them over. This is the one that came with the brake and clutch pedal. It's actually worn. I don't know how many miles that car had on it that brake and clutch pedal came out of, but it was worn that much where the pedal was like off to the side. So I called the guy and asked him, you know, if the car was in an accident or something. It was so badly bent, and he was super nice, and he bought a repair kit for me. So that was cool. So now I've got my brake and clutch pedal, and of course I needed pedals. So I got two pedals. I got that Fulcrum relocation kit. I've got the equalizer bar engine mount pivot kit. That's where the bar goes through the Z-bar. It's got the pivots and stuff, the part that mounts on the engine. I've got that. I had a bunch of parts I had to buy. I needed the push rod that goes into the arm. I had to buy an arm too. So like I said, it would have been cheaper to probably just go with a hydraulic clutch or cable clutch. I don't know, cheaper, about the same probably, but it would have been a lot easier. So you can see down here, I believe you can see it, where the cable clutch went through the transmission bell housing there. It's in the way, but I don't want to cut it completely off if I can help it, just in case I ever decide to go with the cable clutch. So the push arm was hitting. So I'm going to clearance that up a little bit. Then I picked up a spring at Lowe's. It's not the right spring, but I want to make sure it's going to work before I order the spring. I got to make the spring comes forward, and I know on my 66 there's a bracket that comes off where the steering box used to be that the spring hooks to. So I'll probably fabricate something, try to keep it out of the way of the headers and stuff. Quite an angle. Angle doesn't seem optimal. Ouch. Doesn't like that washer on there. Gonna be able to pivot a little bit. Alright, you can see the angle isn't perfect. I was trying to keep my Z-bar as far over this way as I could to clear this, but it's obviously not going to clear. So it looks like the Z-bar is going to have to go in to straighten up this angle here. But I'm going to hook up my temporary spring. There we go. I'll try to find something here to hook to. I'll do something temporary. When in doubt, use a zip tie. That always works. It'll be especially nice when that snaps my hand or something. Okay, so a little tension on that. I can try pushing the clutch in without it falling out. See what happens. First time this car's ever had a clutch. It was born automatic. Kind of feels like a clutch. I think it would probably operate a little better if it was straighter. I'm gonna try moving that Z-bar over a little bit, get it a little straighter. Okay, see how that feels. Feels weird. Not gonna lie. Not sure. My engine sitting down on those motor mounts. As you can see, up in here, I think you can see, engine's sitting on the motor mounts. But I had to make this offset bracket here for the Z-bar. So it's not pushing level. I'd have to extend this or raise the engine up. I wanted to try to keep it as low as possible. I don't know what the deal is with that. Check it out, see what's going on. I have to make some clearance back here for my cross member. It's real close up in there, if you can see. Up in here. Real close. I can put a little more clearance in there. It's plenty strong enough. Got 2 ribs in there. Well, I might have to raise it up a little bit. I could probably just raise the front, but then the engine wouldn't be level. So I tried to get it set as close to the ride height as I could here on the jack stands and stuff, so I could level my engine up, get my drive line in line, get my pinion angles right. But I guess I could raise that up, whole thing up an inch. Gotta go up inside and look and see what I got for how much I can take out of that and raise that. I think it'll work better down here too. If I get rid of my bracket I made here to lower the Z-bar. I don't know. I never tried it just sitting in there, but you can see by the angle of everything that it looks like the engine should go up. So I'm going to check that out now. I raised the back of the transmission up a little bit. I will be okay. You can see it's close right there. I don't have a lot of clearance, but I'm making a tool. I'm going to take a hole saw and take a little material out of here. Be able to raise that up a little bit, give it a little more clearance so it can come up. See if I can get that Z-bar bracket to line up a little better on the engine. I'll double check my levels and stuff, make sure everything's okay. You can see up here in the front too. I'll show you when I get my setup ready. I'll show it to you. So here's the plan. I want to gain a little over an inch here because this had a little more clearance. So I'm going to go about 1.125 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tack this ring on here at my mark, and then I'll be able to run this hole saw in there. That'll be a guide for my hole saw so I can cut a nice clean round hole through there. So I got my height there, got my mark, got my center line right there. like a good tack. Maybe I'll run my hole saw right through that pipe there. I don't know if anybody's, I'm sure somebody's done this before. It's nothing new, but I'd never seen it before. When I did my cutouts for my shock towers, I made a tool that I used this to cut because I wanted a radius in the corner for strength. I don't know how much, if it made a big difference or not, but so I cut through both my shock towers with a tool. I'll show that to you. You can see the radius right here. I wanted a radius there instead of a flat corner. You're not gaining any clearance, I don't think, from a flat corner there. So I thought the radius would be stronger and easier to form a one-piece sheet when I cover this up. So what I did was I made this tool here, and it bolts in where the upper control arm goes here, nice and solid. And then I use these for my pilots, so I could drill a straight line with the hole saw from each side. Worked pretty good. Got a nice consistent cut on both sides, and I was able to flip it over and do both sides with it. So now I'm going to try it on the inside. I have just enough clearance, luckily. So we'll see how it goes. Just get it in there. Got some PV Blaster here. This hole saw is already cut both those shock towers out, so it's not as sharp as it once was. Let's come down here and take a look. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to use a little leverage here. See if I can push on that a little bit. I don't really want to smash my knuckle on there if I can help it. Almost through that first layer. Looks like it's cutting through on the bottom. It just needs to angle up a little at the top, but I think it's the head of the drill's hitting right here. So that's why it's cutting at a little bit of an angle, but once I get through there, it'll be clear here. So let's see if I can finish this cut without smashing my hand. That's the biggest concern. Cutting a good hole is important, but not smashing your hand is also. There it goes. There's my half moon that came out of there. And you can see the piece of square tubing that's up inside there. So that's all welded. That'll be good and strong when I cut that out. I'll just cut through that now and cut through the other side. Should have plenty of clearance. Should still be plenty strong. Might go up top and finish that. I think I might have cut through the 1.5 inches. It's still in there. Imagine trying to do this without that piece on there for a guide. I'd already be at the hospital. I'm gonna go up top. Oh, just getting in there. Go. Yeah, just grab my tack welds off there and clean up my burrs. Good to go. That tack weld a little bit low. It's going to be hard to get in there and get that without hitting something else. And that one's even worse, I think. I mean, maybe if I put a new disc on there, I can reach in there a little farther. This one's easy enough to get to. Let me be close. Ow. If I grab a hold with a pair of pliers. There she goes. Thanks, Dad. That's pretty good. In order to use the linkage, the way it fits in there, the clutch linkage, I have to trim this. This is my cross member that goes up in, transmission bolts through here. I have to take about an inch off from it. I raised the transmission up about an inch, and I raised the front of the motor up about half an inch. And that gets my Z-bar set pretty good. The clutch feels good. You see it's maybe running downhill just a hair, but the clutch seems to work pretty good. I put it in gear, pushed the clutch in, locked the pedal down, and I was able to turn the transmission, so it's obviously working. So now I have to figure out a good way to, I gotta take an inch out of here. So I measured down from the edge of the hole down. I'm going to put a center line on here. It's got to come straight up. These aren't perfectly perpendicular, so I'm probably going to have to take my inch out, set it back up in there, tack it in a few spots, and then weld it all the way around. I could also put a piece across here and cut this out. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. I'm going to think about it for a minute. Piece in here like so. I found this piece that I'd already cut for something else. I started to lay it out, but if I go flush with the edge, the piece is a little short. The holes were going to end up real close to the edge of this, and I didn't like it, so I had another piece, so I laid out, it already had a couple holes in it, so I laid out the couple holes so I can make my slot, and then I'll cut it to fit, and it'll fit all the way up to the edge, and it'll have plenty of meat on the side there for the holes. It's probably kind of loud. I got the salamander running. It's in the 20s outside right now. I made a piece set in here, and I'll probably cut this bottom off. Let's see. I'm gonna weld it here and here, weld it across here. Should be plenty strong enough, I would think. Just getting it parallel. I needed an inch from, so it would be an inch from the bottom of here to the top of here, right? Let's see, no, from the inside to the top. Yep, about 15/16. That's 7/8. It's real close. So that should do it. I'm going to get this tacked in there and try it. Tacked it up just a couple spots. I even put the tacks where I can grind them off if I have to, which I wasn't smart enough to do yesterday. So, should. Yes. So I'm not sure if I have to, I'm not sure what I'm doing with the rear end yet. I want to get like an 8.8 rear end and do a 4-link suspension. I don't know if I'm going to have time right away to do that, so I might run this rear end until it dies. So I want to be able to hook up my emergency brake cable. I know there's a pivot arm that was here in this area somewhere from the old cross member. So that's going to have to get mounted on here somewhere. So I might leave this for now, because I might use this to mount that. I'm not sure. I might open these up right here so I can get a socket in there and get the nuts on there. Or I might weld it in there and cut it out. I'm not sure yet. I'm sure it's going to be plenty. Sure it's going to be plenty strong enough. Well, let's just see. We'll put a couple of bolts in. I did not give these bolts any clearance. They're right at 3/8, so they're snug. I don't like to put a lot of slop in them at first. What I usually do is run them in with a ratchet if they're a little snug. Go. If we raise that up just a hair, I could reach in there and put the nuts on there. But that's where it's going to sit. I'll go up and take a look up top. Looks pretty good. It's right in line with the other bolts, so the alignment I did it with a laser and stuff, and I ran a straight edge down the center of the crank and down the center of the pinion in the back. I ran a string line, used a laser, lined it all up so it's good and straight. My pinion angle shouldn't have changed because I lifted the whole works up about the same amount. So, I think we're going to be good to go. I'll go up and take a look up top. Trim that a hair. Clutch feels good. I had heard that when you use a Z-bar with this clutch, that you get a stiff clutch, but that doesn't feel any different than my 66 van. Clutch feels the same. I tried it yesterday. I wedged the clutch closed, I had it in gear. I was able to turn the transmission no problem, so it's fully disengaging. So it feels about right for a shifter, just a normal straight shifter. It looks like it's in a nice comfortable spot there. Get the steering wheel back in. Should be good to go. Okay, I welded that up. While that's cooling, I'm trying to decide exactly what I want to do on the bottom. I just took a socket and figured what I needed for clearance. I'll leave as much material on here as I can. Ended up using the drill that was in the drill. Just eyeballed it. I'll just cut it out with a cutoff wheel. Still haven't put any clearance in them bolts. I kind of like having this little section here. I just thought, I don't know, I guess if I bottom out on this, I've got worse problems, but it just protects these bolts. Can I fit? Oh, just. There we go. I kind of like it. Looks good. Looks like my clutch linkage is lined up pretty good now. I'll go up and step on the clutch pedal. Feels good on the inside. Yeah.